These plants have a story to tell, and the fact that we have these specimens allows us to begin to develop these stories about the history of the landscape of British Columbia. So I like to say this is a small plant with a big story, this ice grass. When we found this grass, we were kind of excited because it was the first time it had been collected in British Columbia. Easily overlooked because it's small. And so then the next thing is, well, where else does this plant occur in British Columbia? So what we discovered is nobody has ever collected these plants in this large gap in southern British Columbia and parts of the western North America. We have this gap in distribution. The habitat's there, but the plant isn't. And so the question is, how come? Possibly, maybe, perhaps probably, southern British Columbia was heavily glaciated, covered by ice. There was no land available for these plants. And perhaps northern British Columbia was less glaciated. That's one possibility. The other thing I'm curious about is, do other species show similar distribution? So by that I don't mean just plants, I mean insects, mammals, bacteria, fungi. Do they have a similar gap in their distribution? What does that gap mean, and what can it tell us about the history of the landscape of British Columbia? So this was totally unexpected. We didn't go out anticipating that we would find this big gap. So these plants, we don't just do some measurements and then file them away. It's a living collection in a sense, in that the knowledge that we're gaining from it is always changing, and the stories that we tell based on these collections is always changing as well as new collections become available. And they raise new questions, for sure.